So welcome to the Mayor of Money podcast series. I'm Rick Goldring, and many of you know me as the Mayor of Burlington between 2010 and 2018. However, I have spent the vast majority of my career in the financial services sector, serving business owners and helping them with their estate planning and financial planning, as well as wealth and risk management. And after serving as mayor, I reemerged in the financial services sector with the establishment of Goldring Financial Leadership, Inc. Now, this podcast is going to feature discussion on estate and financial planning, entrepreneurship, as well as real estate and development. My guests will include expert financial planners, investment advisors, lawyers, tax accountants, economists, mortgage brokers, realtors, life insurance specialists, funeral directors, entrepreneurs, and real estate developers. On this program, you will hear insightful information that you can use in your own financial estate planning that you will not hear anywhere else. You will hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their journey and the wisdom they have learned along the way. And as there is a significant shortage of housing units in the Golden Horseshoe area, and prices have increased dramatically over the last few years, I will also feature discussion about real estate development, and you will learn about the current and future trends of real estate. But I'm excited today for my very first inaugural debut of the Mayor of Money podcast series to welcome onto the podcast Jamie Edwards and Don Smith, two longtime friends. We go back decades. In fact, back in 1992, the three of us were on a program with two other gentlemen called Taking Care of Your Future on Cogeco TV 23, which is now Your TV. And we provided all sorts of information to the public in a live phone-in talk show for about 15 years until I got elected to Burlington City Council. So Don, Jamie, welcome. Thrilled to have you here. Don is the owner of Smith's Funeral Homes in Burlington and Burlington, Stony Creek, and Grimsby. And Jamie Edwards is the owner of J.M. Edwards Associates Realtors. Don's company's been in business for 83 years, and Jamie, about half that, 42 years. So gentlemen, welcome. It's great to have you.
I look pretty good for 83.
Yeah, you look very good for 83, Don. But it's great to have the both of you on this particular podcast, the very first one of the Mayor of Money series. But I'm going to start off with Don. You know, Don, you've been at this for a long, long time. The business has been around for a long time, but you've been leading it for a long time. When did you know? When did you know that you were going to go down the path of really taking over the business and leading the business and growing the business? When did you make that decision?
When did I know? When I tried it, high school was like a scrambled egg, Rick, for me. And then I went to the University of Georgia and graduated in 2 weeks. I guess I really found out what racism was all about. And then as a Canadian, I was pretty naive. Came back and my dad said to me, he said, son, you've been raised above the funeral home all your life. It's a family business. Have you ever thought about following up with your uncle and your mom and myself? And that's when it started. I mean, I spent most of my high school years at the Jubilee Pool Hall and never really had much direction. But dad gave me the inspiration, I guess. And I guess it just became natural when I got involved, and it was following their legacy and their hard work. They were really the trailblazers. All I had to do would be a good steward of all their hard work.
Jamie, what about you? When did you know that real estate was going to be your business of choice?
Well, when I graduated from Mac, Rick, I went to my dean and I said, I've got a degree in urban planning, but I've met urban planners and they're not happy people. And you know that from being mayor of the city. And I saw the developers, you know, and the pressure they were putting on. And so I decided that's not the direction I wanted to go. And the dean said to me, I'm going to give you some tests. This is a McMaster. And all these tests pointed to sales. He said, you're right off the charts here. You either do that or you become a minister. That's not my direction. And I said, why did you give this to me 4 years ago when this journey talk started? And he says, we needed your money. And I've never forgotten that, but it was the best advice. And while I was at university, I worked in the car business to help put myself through because I always wanted to have a car. And so I went into that business for 3 years. But to get a car dealership at that time, Rick, in 1972 to 75, you needed $50,000 cash to start out. And Don knows all about the hard costs because imagine starting a funeral home today and the expense at the beginning. And I just bought a house at that time. And so it was beyond the realm. And I knew if I got into real estate, I could start my own business because I didn't have to put up the kind of cash that I needed. So I transformed that in 75. And then I moved to Burlington because of the demographics in '77. I saw the growth potential in Burlington, and that began the ride. But really, if I go back to a pivotal moment, I was cleaning snow off the cars in April of 1972. I just finished my exams, and an old friend of mine, Bobby McManus, was with me. He says, "What do you plan to do?" I said, "I don't know, Bob." He said, "You'd be good in sales." I said, "No, you think so?" He said, "Absolutely. Go uptown to one of those fancy car dealerships and you'll do well." And that was a moment that changed things in a direction, just an innocent. So there's pivotal moments in my life. Another one was I was teaming up with you guys, way back when Don and I sat down and talked about starting, a financial planning and estate planning, and that sort of gem of what became, the Five Wise Guys. And it's been a great run. Burlington was a great place to have a business. So
I have to tell you, gentlemen, that I met somebody very recently. It was in his office, and he said, "I remember when you were on Kojiko with," and he said all our names, remembered all of us. And he says, "I still got notes that I took when you guys were on that particular show." So that was pretty neat because it's been at least 15 years since we
It
did
was
that.
a great show, Rick, and people could phone in and people could get free information and ask all the questions that you wanted to, especially the questions you want to ask the Undertaker and are frightened to ask.
Well, let's ask the Undertaker a few questions now. Then I'll ask Jamie some questions too about real estate. But Don, the COVID has been a challenge in so many ways for so many people, for all of us, really, in some shape, form, or another. How has COVID changed the way you operate? How has just time, going back 20, 30 years, funerals were different, seemed to me to be much different 20 or 30 years ago than they are today. What has evolved?
Well, I've mentioned to people, Rick, especially during COVID. I mean, whether we're caring for 20 people or 220 people, my colleagues and I are all geared up to do the best we can to comfort and provide care and help to people. For us, the heartbreaking time was when COVID started, especially in February and March of last year, when people would be sent quickly to the hospital or would be in hospital, contract COVID, and families weren't allowed to be with them, not when they were dying or sick or needed comforting and understanding, and even the difficulty of having people to attend funerals. And with some of the restrictions provincially, you could have only one celebrant or a minister and 9 family members at one point. Now things have progressed, and so families are able to stay over in the hospital. There's limited times and limited numbers, but we've come a long way. For us, it was very heartbreaking. Many of us knowing these families, how close they were, people from out of state or out of the province or out of the country not being able to come in for the funerals. Live streaming was one of the answers, which has been a real blessing and so people could still stay involved, and also having established funeral visiting times. So for every 30 minutes, people could come for a visitation, log in on our website or phone in, and then we could have 15 minutes to sanitize and clean. And then people would be able to come for the next half hour, 30-minute period. So we've adjusted and adapted, and people have been very understanding.
And real estate had to adapt too, Jamie.
it sure did. Going back to what Don said last year, the market took a bit of a hit in March and April. And then when the real estate industry pivoted, as Don's did too, everybody had to pivot. Showings became very restrictive. Meeting people became very restrictive. We had become a home-based operation about 3 years ago. And what we're seeing, Rick, and the trend out there is when people were sent home from their offices, is establishing home offices. So, for instance, in a center hall plan, the living room will become the office for one of the maybe the mother, and then the dining room will become the office for the husband. So, a lot of home offices, a lot of transformed real estate, where people stayed in their homes and did a lot of renovations after things progressed along, and spent a lot of money on renovations. Now the lumber is went way up in price. Now it's dropping back again because it's kind of balanced out. For showing houses, Rick, it became very, very difficult. You had 15 minutes in a very hot market to get somebody into a house, make sure you didn't touch anything. And we were restricted on how many people could actually go into a house. Most realtors respected that. And the difficulty for us was people had to make a decision on whether they buy or not in a very short period of time. And because of the market being such a shortage of homes, they had to decide whether they could go in unconditional, no financing condition, or home inspection, and maybe have the home inspection done, and then face competition. And that became very difficult. And our heart goes out to the first-time buyers, because they're the ones that are suffering the most to go into this. People trying to move, it became very difficult. And there's a shortage of supply right now, and that will continue because there isn't building what the market wants. And we'll talk about that. Maybe we go through a little later.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating times for the real estate business at all sorts of different levels. But Don, how have funeral services changed over the last 20, 30 years? It seems to me they're less of the somber occasion, and people are trying to put more celebrations of life context into a funeral.
Certainly, there's less tradition throughout our whole community, Rick, and people are looking for a celebration of life. They still want to have some meaning, and there's still significant numbers of people that want to have a religious recognition in a service, knowing that there's hope beyond this life and something that's important. Cremation is something that probably 85 to 90% of our families are choosing. And one of the things that we're offering now, which has been a great help, and is because of the complexity of solving and resolving an estate, we have our aftercare program, which we sit down with the family a week or 2 weeks after, and with our booklet and with the information we have available to us, and walk the family through all those difficulties in settling an estate. I've said it's more difficult to leave this world than it is to enter the world. And so we've looked at helping people before, in terms of planning ahead and being prepared, just like you do and Jamie does. And then helping people on an at-need basis when a death occurs, and looking after families after the death, just not leaving them at the cemetery or the crematory, but caring for them after.
I encourage people to pre-plan their funerals as much as you can, and have a solid, complete estate plan that addresses all the issues. But still, people are intimidated or hesitant to go down the path of actually pre-planning the funeral. They see the value in it, but Don, what's the process? If somebody just wants to pre-plan, what do they do?
I think, to be gentle in how you approach it, Rick, don't say when someone passes away or dies and you're talking about somebody you love. Talk about what if something did happen, if something happened, and having a discussion with a professional and having a discussion with your family about things that are important, what's meaningful to you. And I've said it's not about Cadillac cars and expensive caskets. It's really about doing the things that are meaningful to the individual and meaningful to the family. So it really is a celebration of their life and an acknowledgement of what contributions they've made to their family, their friends, and their community.
Great, excellent. But if somebody wants to pre-plan a funeral or pre-plan a celebration of life, basically they can contact your office, and there's somebody that's an expert in helping people with that.
Absolutely. I try and sit in with all the arrangements, Rick, as often as I can, but we have a specialist, Sarah Sunnix, who is a wonderful person who looks after pre-planning, and people there's no fee for it. There's no charge for it. And people there's two elements to it. One is to come in and have a discussion. What would you like to see happen? What's important to your family and to yourself? And the other is the pre-funding of it. Is it better to pay now or to look at the cost later? Most families say, I want to get the arrangements completed so my family doesn't have to worry about things. And I want to pre-fund it now because I know it's guaranteed. There are no additional fees or costs, and do everything at one time. It's peace of mind planning, Rick. It's what you do and what Jamie does and what we all did with the wise guys.
Yeah, no,
like
absolutely.
I just had an experience with an uncle that passed, and Smith's did the funeral for us out of Grimsby. And Don, it was great to see you at that ceremony and come out and visit. I really appreciated that. One of the things that Smith's has done is they take the pictures that the family provides and puts together a video that my family sent out to us with all the memories. And what Don's really saying is it's about that passage and the memories that you shared because that's where the real joy of life is the memories. And I saw pictures of my uncle and family that I'd not seen before. And this is a man that took me to father and son banquets. My dad was on the road. So, I mean, you go back and you look at these pictures of when we were all younger. And Smith does that. It's fabulous, Don, and really, really appreciated by the family. I just wanted to point that out. And the after service that you do is something that we've put together in real estate, where after they sign the deal, that's not the end of the relationship. It continues to make sure that the closing takes place, that the place is tidy when people move in. There's no surprises, that the paperwork goes back and forth. We've set up a site where people, when they work with us, they can go online and it's all there. Everything they need, they can click and just send it out to their lawyers or whatever, the bank, whatever they need. So that back end work is something that really works. And it's something that Smith's Incorporated is that website that you've got, Don, where you can go on and you can actually post a memory, or, that it's just incredible how we've all pivoted. And Rick, I want to go back and say, when we started this journey, one of the things, I read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I recommend that for any entrepreneur. You talk about a mastermind alliance, and what we're seeing today here, we've known each other now 30, 40 years, is that mastermind alliance that we had way back at the beginning. We've all helped each other in each of our fields of endeavor. And you guys have been a wonderful resource. I mean, I've learned more from you about financial planning, and Don about that end of life preparation, that I could ever have done without having, formed that mastermind alliance with you. So for any entrepreneur out there, go and not necessarily people in your own profession, go out and beyond that, because that's where you'll learn. So
if you're starting in business today, and so many people have, as a result of COVID, as a result of the changes in society and work, but if you're starting a business today, what are some of the things that you would do if you were starting all over again, that you would do to give yourself the best chance of success, and how much of this can be transferred to other people starting businesses today?
Well, Rick, I think the most important thing that anybody should do is, before they start in business, or even as they continue through life, is writing a personal mission statement and answer the question, why? Why am I in business? Is it to have a purpose in life, or to have a profit in life? And I think it should be to have a purpose in life. And that sort of anchor that you have, that soul of business, or that soul of life, why am I doing what I'm doing? And then to look at what's important, and like the different aspects of a business, the people, the place, the price that you pay, the promotion of your business, looking at all elements of the business, but looking to build something that will last beyond you, to look at creating a legacy, something that's more important than yourself. And I know Jamie's done that, you've done that. And I think that it's that, what's the essence of what you're doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what do I truly believe in?
Jamie, what are your thoughts?
I think it comes down to believing in yourself to start, right? Because there's going to be a lot of naysayers out there. I was originally in real estate with World Trust, and when I went on my own, they came and said, well, you're going to fail. And most of my associates thought the same thing. You realize that not everybody loved you. And there's a lot of envy out there as you become successful. But you have to believe in yourself, and you have to not listen to all the naysayers, because the entrepreneur, it's a different mindset, Rick. And it's like the Pareto principle: 20% of the people do it, 80%, 20% say it can't be done, and the other 60% kind of vacillate. So believing in yourself and associating with people like you and like Don that think the same way, that like-mindedness. And that's so important, because there's going to be times back, I can think back in the 82 when the interest rates were 18 and 20%, where you started to doubt. And I can remember my accountant saying, Jamie, you'll look back at this and laugh. He was lying to me at the time, but it's what you needed to hear at that moment in time. It's because the good times are good, and the down times you have to really, really, buckle down and do what's necessary. And I go back to what Don said. It's treating people with care, with love, with respect, and building a reputation referral network. When I think funeral, I think end of life, I think Don Smith. When I think financial planning, I think Rick Goldring. And hopefully we're implanted in people's minds that when they think real estate, they think they'll give us a try. It's not doing all the business, it's doing the right business with the people that you want to work with. And I think that's something that I've learned over the years is I'd rather work with people that we want to work with than people that we have to work with. And we can pick and choose, Rick, because we're in that business, and who we choose to work with. Don, you work with everybody because you feel, that need that everybody's going to have. It's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if. So two different businesses, and it's been enlightening to be sharing life with you guys. And Don, to see you still involved, it's just phenomenal. You try and get out there and you have a face, and you are that face of Smith's, and your staff is tremendous. I can tell you that you've trained them well, and they live the legacy that you created, and they believe in serving people first.
Thanks, Jamie.
Don, I've lived it. I've watched it with my mother. I've watched it with my uncles. I've watched it with so many friends.
Yeah. Well, do you know what I said? For me, Jamie, Rick, the most important thing was my mom and dad and what they did. They really put in all the hard work, working day and night, and they're just the two of them for years, raising two wild kids, and running a couple of businesses. One of the things that I wish that I had done, probably would, instead of stubbing my toe in some business decisions, I wish that I'd either had a personal coach, and Rick, you, I know, have talked about that in the past, or a board of advisors. A lot of us as individuals, entrepreneurs, tend to be gunslingers. We march to our own drummer. We're individuals. We're self-motivated, and that. But there are times when you need the advice of somebody who's a little bit wiser, who can see the horizon a little clearer than you can, and who can maybe say, stop, maybe you're not doing the right thing, or maybe you're going a little bit too fast, and maybe have you considered these things? I know we have accountants and lawyers and that help us with the practical things and the business things, but sometimes you need a coach or somebody on the sideline or a board of advisors who can just say, let's stop and take a second look at this and see if it is a good decision.
Who are willing to tell you what you may not want to hear, but what you need to hear.
Yes. Yeah. The other big thing for Jamie, for any of us in business, well, in life, what's your succession plan? I mean, I've thought, Jamie, I was thinking about you. How do people get their first home? So, a lot of stuff that I'm doing for my kids is gifting to them now, so they can get on that real estate ladder and they can prepare for the future. And in terms of a business, Rick has helped me, and I've been working for a number of years and continue to work on a succession plan so that my business won't be sold to a multinational, international conglomerate, but that it will be an employee-owned corporation or business. So the people that have helped make it a success, who have cared for and served those families, will have an ownership in that business. So it becomes part of them. It's part of what they believe in. It's the essence of what they work for.
I think consistency of thought and direction is also helpful too, because Don, you have been very consistent and focused on the direction that you want to take your business in, and you followed it.
The big thing for me, I've said, I'm going to die at some point, but I want what Smith's represents, the brand, what the name is, just like Edwards and Associates, just like Goldring and Associates, Rick, just like Smith, that the brand itself will mean something. And it's not Don Smith. I've said my business is going to be really successful when I can walk into a funeral home and no one knows who I am, but they're there because of the brand and what it represents.
Yeah, no, you're to be congratulated on what you've achieved. But we without bad times, there's no good times. Without going through some challenges, challenges give you an opportunity to dig in and to excel. And so all of you we've all been through some challenging times in our lives. Are there any books that the both of you have read that have really helped ground you and prepare you and have made an impact on your sort of the headspace and your attitude in life? Jamie?
Think and Grow Rich was great. The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale. Blue Oceans, there's books, and you guys have been great because over the years we've shared books that we've read. Hey, have you read this one? Have you read that one? I got involved in a program out of the United States, certified residential brokerage, where you met other brokers, and we shared a lot of business operation ideas. So there's books that come out, but it's a lot of it's feet on the ground, Rick, and going out and actually doing it Getting involved with the Chamber of Commerce was great for my business way back at the beginning. It was a credibility issue, and then you met a lot of friends. I still maintain my membership, 40 years later. Even though I'm not that involved, I was president, a half a lifetime ago, and the same as real estate board. But in our association, if you get involved in organized real estate, you meet a lot of people from different walks of life in different areas, and that was where a lot of the knowledge I got. And then, writing books and helping do education and leadership for my associations took me to places I never thought I'd ever get to, Rick. So, what are the most recent books that I've read? I'm just trying to think out loud here. Blue Ocean. I think, Don, you recommended that one, Blue Oceans.
Yes.
What am I reading now? I'm at a different stage, so I still like self-help books. It doesn't matter. I look at the New York Times on Sunday and say, okay, what books? The fictions I don't really worry about. It's the books that are out there that are help. Biographies, people who have been successful and their books.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
If the library in my house, Rick, were on fire, I'd go in looking for two books. The two books I think are most important, everyone should read. Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And what he really talks about is not just independence, but the building of character that moves from independence to interdependence, because it's an interdependent world. You build character and from that you build great success stories for yourself and your family and your business. The other one is Jim Collins, Built to Last, good to great, but built to last. You're not building for a profit, you're building for a purpose, to be something greater than the ordinary business, to be better than, to be the best you can be and to continue to grow and be the best. So you're building something that will last beyond you. The other is a great book by Simon Sinek, Start With Why.
Right. That's what you mentioned at the very beginning, Don.
Why do you do what you do? Why do you get up in the morning? What's the soul of your life and your business, and why is it important?
But it is interesting that here you are, both veterans in your respective businesses, and you're not sitting back. You are still digging in. You're still reading. You're still looking for ways to improve as a person, as a business owner. Like you don't put your feet up, is what I'm saying. You're not retired. You're still going. You're still going strong, and you're going to, I'm going to keep going strong until I can't go strong any longer. And it's simple as that. So I think that's the same for the two of you.
Yeah.
Rick, I want to mention another book for a small business like mine was Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind.
Right.
That I read way back. And because in our business, there's a lot of franchise, a lot of major companies. And Don, you face the major organizations in the funeral business. How do you position in your mind or the prospect's mind that when they think whatever service it is, they think you? Positioning, The Battle for the Mind was a great book. I've used it. It made me a lot of money over the years because you keep going back to how do you maintain that position? Reputation, referral, network. So if you refer somebody to Rick, they're going to be treated fairly. And they're going to
Absolutely.
And I thank you both over the years for the business that you've sent to Edwards. We honor that. We respect that. And if we can do the same, we do that. That's a lot of it, Don, is that reputation referral, that network you build.
Well, I want to say a big thank you to the two of you, Jamie Edwards of JM Edwards Associates Realtors and Don Smith of Smith's Funeral Homes for joining me on the very first edition of the Mayor of Money podcast series. And I want to thank everybody for listening or for watching. I look forward to hearing from you if you have a guest or a topic to suggest for a future episode. I'm Rick Goldring, the Mayor of Money, and I will see you on the next episode. Stay positive and test negative.